Good morning, sweet world, and welcome to the No Dunks podcast on the Athletic Network. It's Thursday, June 30th. Happy NBA free agency day, everyone. I'm J.E. Skeets, and joining me here in the yard, we got the bearded one, Trey Kirby.
Ayo.
Ayo. Drop your Ayos right now in the stream team. Thank you so much for joining us live on YouTube. Hit that like button. Subscribe, comment, share the show. Email in your NBA questions to nodunks@theathletic.com. And a little Vegas Summer League reminder. Next Saturday, July 9th, No Dunks is doing a little meetup in Las Vegas at a place called Starboard Track. I think I have that right.
I thought it's tack. Starboard tack.
It's definitely tack. Starboard tack. Okay.
Man's got PJ Washington on the brain during free agency here.
Oh boy, it's early. Look, and we were never mind. We're aiming to get there around 7 o'clock.
I'm feeling pretty tired this morning too. You know, we had a grueling 7-game series at pickup basketball last night. I don't know about you, but I was hyped afterwards. Tough getting to sleep. Started watching the Bear. Started calling Laura Chef the entire evening. So yeah, a little bit of a longer night than I expected, but also fired up to talk some hoops.
We got
day one of free agency.
We got lots to talk about. Obviously, some trades going down yesterday, and then we'll talk about the rumors. We had some big names declining their player options and Beal and Harden and what that means for them and their teams and all that. We played a lot of basketball last night, though. We had, I don't know, on one hand, it's great because you know you're getting a great run in. On the other hand, it sucks having just 10 guys. Like, you're like praying for no injury, which we had a couple scares with our guy Art, and there's a couple other guys going down, but everyone made it through the 2-hour run, and it's just pure exhaustion. I mean, it's just game after game after game. It was fun, but you need a sub or two at our age.
It was pretty funny, you know, watching the group chat throughout the day. It kind of just eventually settled on the fact we were going to have 10 guys exactly there, so we might as well play a 7-game series. It works almost perfectly time-wise, like 2 hours, but it honestly did feel like a playoff series out there because by game 6 and 7, a lot of hands on the knees, a lot of cramping in the calves.
A lot more fouls being called.
A lot more fouls. It was rough stuff out there, but, came down to 7-7 in a game 7. You can't ask for much more.
I know. And I'm sure some people, maybe even in the stream team right now, where's the footage? Where are the highlights? Where's the mixtape? We only had 10. Trey and I were on the same team. Nobody was recording anything last night. So, unfortunately, we don't even have that footage for you guys out there, for the true sickos that like to break down the tape. But we're okay here. We got some coffee flowing through us, cranking through the cyst. And let's start with the big trade yesterday. The Hawks, I mean, they made the biggest addition of the NBA offseason so far. They send Danilo Gallinari and 3 first-round draft picks and a draft swap to the San Antonio Spurs in exchange for all-star guard Dejounte Murray. 2 of those draft picks unprotected in 25-26. I guess the draft swap is also protected. So lots of unprotected picks going to San Antonio. Which side do you want to start with this one, Trey? San Antonio and what they were doing, or the Hawks sort of pushing their chips in, at least picks in, and getting a star player?
Let's start with the Hawks. Let's be a couple of homers here, Skeets. I love it. I love the move for the Hawks. No doubt about it. They gave up a ton of draft compensation, but we've been talking on the show all during last season, during the run-up to free agency here, that the Hawks need to make a little bit of a consolidation move, need to add a second star alongside Trae Young. You know, the Hawks can go only so far, it seemed, with Trae Young as their main offensive focus, and then no real other playmakers out there. We saw in the playoff series against the Heat were able to take Trae Young out of the game, and that was pretty much it for the Hawks. They didn't have anybody else who could make a play out there, who was getting shots for others, and it just they looked completely beaten, and it looked like that team had kind of come to an end. So to add a current all-star in Dejounte Murray, who addresses a lot of things that the Hawks needed, I think is huge. They got another playmaker alongside Trae Young. They're going to be able to play Trae Young off the ball a little bit more. Now they've got an active guy in Dejounte Murray who gets in the passing lanes and gets steals and turns defense into offense. He's a little bit bigger. He's got long arms. He'll be able to guard the more the scarier perimeter threat there in the backcourt. So I think being able to get him for what they gave up for not actually having to trade any of their young players, I think is a huge move for Travis Schlenk and, of course, Landry Fields. That's a weird one to see when you're reading about all these Hawks moves right now. General manager Landry Fields feels like he was in the NBA about 5 minutes ago, but I like the look of it. It doesn't feel like the Hawks are done yet either, according to Chris Kirschner and Sam Amick over at The Athletic. Subscribe at theathletic.com/no-dunks. They're saying there are still moves to be made. We've heard a lot of rumblings about John Collins as well. So you have to think that maybe a Kevin Huerter, Bogdan Bogdanovic, they could be had as well, since now Murray's going to be taking up a lot of minutes there in the backcourt. But who knows? Murray's the best player who has changed teams so far in the offseason. He's coming to a Hawks team that needed to just up their talent level a little bit. So I like the Hawks being able to get the move. They did give up a ton of draft capital, though, Skeets.
Holy.
25, 26, and 27. Those seasons are going to be a little nerve-wracking for the Atlanta Hawks. First of all, you have to hope that Dejounte Murray signs after his contract is done in 2024. Yep. That would be an absolute disaster if the Hawks lose those picks and Murray in that time. But it seems like Murray and Trae Young are excited to be playing together. They should be a decent pairing at the very least. But I mean, one injury to one of those guys, and you're looking at a nice draft pick for the San Antonio Spurs. So for the Spurs, it kind of felt like maybe we were getting smokescreened by the Hawks earlier, but the Spurs decided we're going for it. We're going for Victor here. We would love to see Wembanyama there in San Antonio. I think they just looked at the landscape of the Western Conference. They saw that some of the teams that were in the play-in tournament last year are going to be getting better, right? Like the Pelicans, they were in the play-in tournament. They're going to be better this year with Zion returning. The Clippers are going to be better this year, acquiring John Wall and getting their stars back in Kawhi and Paul George when he's healthy as well. Teams are getting better in the Western Conference, and the Spurs have been squeaking into the play-in tournament. Dejounte Murray probably couldn't take them to a conference finals in the Western Conference, so they say, now is not the time for us. Let's beef up our assets here and go for broke. Let's see if we can hit another Tim Duncan lottery sort of pick here. So, I understand why the Spurs did it. If you're a Spurs fan, I've had a couple text me saying, I'm not going to watch any games next year. Why would I watch games? I'm just kidding. I am going to watch the games, but I'm going to be sad watching them. That's what they all said. I'm not going to watch them. Yeah, I will. But their team's not going to be very good next year. And that's okay, because there's a lot of teams trying to win. They can easily be one of the 5 worst teams in the NBA, which gives them a pretty solid shot at a generational looking prospect.
Yeah, I mean, that has to be the plan here, San Antonio. Though I would be a little wary of that plan when you have Greg Popovich still as your coach. I'm terrified that he's somehow going to get 35 wins out of a bunch of somewhat nobodies, it's Pop we're talking about here. This is his dream. A bunch of kids I can yell at. Yeah. Watch us get into the play-in tournament. But yeah, the idea is that they're going to be very, very bad here, help their chances to get a very high pick. And who knows what happens with these Hawks picks moving forward. I will say, I think, we're zeroing in on the top of the draft in Victor over there, the skinny, tall French guy that everybody wants. He's got the link to Tony Parker in that. There's Scoot Henderson as well. People are high on out of the G League. But also, even if Atlanta, ball out and these picks are middle of the pack first round, even late first round, because the Hawks are great with Trae Young and Murray, whatever, if that happens, the Spurs are awesome at picking at the back of the first round. Dejounte Murray, Derek White, Keldon Johnson, I think they're all the 29th picks in the draft. So, they're pretty good at that. Kawhi 15, Tony Parker is famously 28th, I think. Man, it was a second rounder for crying out loud. So just them having a lot of picks, they're really good at this for the most part. So even if they're not, the number 1, 2, or 3 pick coming by way of the Hawks, it's still a draft pick that they can obviously trade or just find another hidden gem. So there is that. I also like what they did. It felt like they sort of drove up the price, I think, for Dejounte Murray here. They're obviously selling him at somewhat the peak. I know the contract issue of how they were going to be able to sign him and what deal it was going to be is a big part of them moving off of him too. But did they get the Hawks to have to throw in another first-round pick unprotected because they had the Wolves talking to them? Possibly the Knicks, for all we know. Maybe another team we're not even sure of. I think that's why we had these rumors going on for, what felt like a week or more, Trey, from the Spurs. Hey, we're moving Dejounte Murray. It's going to take a lot of picks. Wasn't the first report like it's going to be like a Drew Holiday type package, which they got basically, pretty damn close to that in return.
Yeah, exactly right. I think you would argue that the Drew Holiday package was a little bit better. I saw Mike Prada over at The Athletic, subscribe to theathletic.com/no-dunks. He was comparing it to another Drew Holiday trade when they traded and started the process. This is kind of the start of the process for the Spurs. We will see how it goes. We will see if they have the same scrutiny that the 76ers had and that the Oklahoma City Thunder have been playing through in the past couple of seasons. You're probably giving the Spurs a little bit of the benefit of the doubt since they made the playoffs for 20-something straight seasons, and now they're finally taking a step back. But yeah, like you're saying, the Spurs are good at drafting late in the first round. They probably have a 50% success rate, which is incredible for drafting then. You can get some role players, and their pick is going to be pretty solid for the next couple of seasons, you would have to think, because who knows? They might not be done. A guy like Keldon Johnson, he's a good young player. Is that somebody that could be attractive to somebody else in the NBA? Maybe so. Feels like the beginning of a new era in San Antonio, except for the fact that they've got the oldest coach in the league with the longest tenure there. We will see how long Greg Popovich lasts. I kind of think we're going to be seeing Quinn Snyder in not too long, maybe not by the start of next season, but the season after. However, Pop is saying, this reminds me back of my college days at Pomona Pritzker. So it doesn't seem like he's in a hurry to get out of there either. A surprising trade, and shout out to the Spurs. They saw the writing on the wall, and once they decided to move on from Murray, they were able to kind of canvas the league and get a solid return from the Hawks, because Murray is a guy who was in demand and should have been in demand.
Yeah, both these teams, like the Spurs and the Hawks, they were in no man's land a little bit, if we're being honest. They were not great, not brutal, just sort of in that little middle bunch, and that's a tough spot to be in the NBA. So they took, in their opinions at least, different trajectories, right? The Hawks hoping, okay, maybe we can be great, and the Spurs saying, well, we don't want to be great in this loaded West. Let's set up for a couple of years from now. Let's get all these picks. Let's get all these bites at the apple, and let's go the other way. So getting away from the middle, at least that's the hope. But back to the Hawks. This is my concern. I love the pairing on paper. It really looks amazing. Just the defensive guy in Murray besides Trae Young. Trae Young off ball, you said it. Can he become a little more Curry? Murray off ball is a question mark. He's not a great shooter. That's his one knock from 3-point land. He's like a 33% 3-point shooter. Can he increase that? Is it not a concern because he still attacks? They both like to have the ball in their hands. So that'll be fun to watch. And can they figure it out in the rest of the roster too? Because they're not done. I agree with you with Schlenk and the Hawks there. But does this make the Hawks better than a healthy Bulls team? A healthy Raptors team? The Heat, the Sixers? And then I'm not even at the top talking Bucks and Celtics. And I love it. I know they're not done, but I do I'm a little how far does this jump the Hawks up? I'm not ready to be Hawks home court advantage first round. Let's go top 4 seed. I'm not there yet with the East looking as sort of deep as it is.
No, definitely not. I think the top 4 teams are going to be pretty similar to the top 4 teams this season. Miami will still be there. The Bucks will obviously still be there. The Celtics are a young team. They just went to the finals. And I think the 76ers are probably the number 4 team there. But 5 through 12 is going to be competitive once again in the Eastern Conference. We might see the Hornets take a little bit of a step back, but the Bulls are going to be competitive. The Raptors are going to be competitive. And I think that what you saw with Atlanta last year is that team that they ran out wasn't as good compared to the rest of the Eastern Conference as the 1920 or the 2021 team was when they went to the conference finals. So, yeah, it doesn't necessarily vault them up into the upper echelons of the Eastern Conference, but it does, I think, take them up a tier to you should be contending for at least the 5 and 6 seed, along with those other teams like the Bulls, like the Raptors, that are good teams, but a little bit flawed compared to the real contenders in the Eastern Conference. And if you are the Hawks and you just went to the conference finals a season ago, you don't want to take yet another step back, or having taken a step back, you don't want to stay one step back. So this puts them a little bit forward. And, we talk a lot about teams going stale every once in a while. It didn't feel like that was the case with the Hawks, but they've kind of had this alignment here for a little bit. They've been wanting to develop their young players in Hunter and Herter and Collins and Young. It's been a lot of drafted guys Now it's time to change it up a little bit and see if a little bit of a change, a little bit of a re-maneuvering of their priorities changes things going forward.
Yeah, and I mean, who knows who gets moved here? We still think it's John Collins. To where is fascinating, and who really wants him, and what do you even get in return? Like, can they even get one of their picks back? Can they get an unprotected first round pick back? I
Unprotected,
probably not. Yeah, exactly. I mean, maybe lightly protected or something like that. And I know Hollinger was saying, yeah, Kevin Huerter and Bogdanovich could be moved as well.
Not as many minutes in the backcourt.
Yeah, there isn't. But I was going to say, like, the Hawks, this is not like a do or die season to me here. Also, I want to make that clear. Like, it's not like this next season they have to be elite. These guys are young. Trey and Murray are on sort of the same sort of time frame in terms of their age, being like where they're just hitting really their prime in the NBA, hopefully. But you have Okongwu. They just drafted Griffin. Hunter has to stay healthy and play and get better is the other thing, DeAndre Hunter. So if those are the 5 guys that are there and part of their like core, that's a good team if they can get reps together in theory for a couple of years here. So I love this trade from both sides. I mean, actually the other one we're going to talk about too, I don't mind from both sides, but let's hear from everybody in the stream team. Let's hear from everybody listening. Who won the trade? If you like to do that, Hawks or Spurs, or throw your grades on it. I've seen grades across the board in this one, Trey. I've seen like the Spurs been given a D- and then an A+. So I guess it's all your opinions on draft picks and leaning into the future and blowing things up a little bit.
Yeah, exactly right. Are you playing the assets game or are you playing the wins game? The Hawks are playing the wins game. They're all in right now for a team that might top out at like a 4 seed, which is probably scary for some people. Whereas the Spurs, they're obviously looking towards the future. So I think the Spurs accomplished what they wanted to do, trading Murray at maybe one of the heights of his trade value. We'll see how his career progresses, but he just made an all-star team. He's still got a couple of years left on his deal. They were able to get a ton of picks back, and the Hawks upgraded their talent. So I do think it's a win-win for both teams, even if the Spurs are going to be taking a whole bunch of losses come this season.
A whole bunch of losses, but I'm telling you right now, Vegas, drop the over-under on Spurs wins for next season. I'm pounding the over. This is Popovich, baby.
Pounding the pop?
It's going to be like, I don't know what it will be. It'll probably be like 18.5 or 21.5. It's like, I don't know, man. This guy just gets guys. He just gets wins, man. They play hard. They have a system. They have a lot of guys trying to like prove their worth in this league. Some just oddly tells me the Spurs won't be as bad as we think they might be, but they are trading their best player here. That's no doubt about that. Who's their best player now? It's like, I mean,
Johnson, probably.
It's probably Johnson. If he gets moved, then what is it? Pirtle? I want the Raptors to bring Pirtle home, so maybe that'll happen here in the next couple of days. Okay, let's keep it moving.
It's Josh
here.
Primo's time now. That's all I've been saying. Anytime a Spurs fan gets in touch with me, I just say it's Primo time.
Oh, it's Primo time.
It's Primo time. Let's go.
Gallinari will not be there for long by all accounts too. I'm sure some other team will be picking him up after he's let go. Okay, moving on. We had a 4-player deal between two teams. This I first saw from our guy Shams at The Athletic. He reported that the Nuggets are trading Monte Morris and Will Barton, Will Barton, baby, to the Wizards in a deal for Kentavious Caldwell-Pope and Ish Smith. Those are 4 names. Oh, they're just this to me was like, I was like, oh my God, this is the most like perfect average trade of all time. Like, I love it. I actually like it from both sides, but look at these names. Monte Morris, Will Barton, and then you got Kentavious Caldwell-Pope and Ish Smith. Trey, what are your thoughts on this one?
This is a trade for the sickos, Skeets. I guess, who's the biggest star here? Will Barton? He averaged like 18 points a game, nearly 20. My thoughts on this are that if you're going to do a salary dump, this is how you do a salary dump, because there's no doubt to me that this is what it is for the Denver Nuggets. We're looking at their team, and as we've seen throughout this summer so far, they've been trying to take care of their luxury tax bill. Yeah, no doubt about it. They downgraded talent-wise, for sure. Will Barton, better player than KCP. Monte Morris, a better player than Ish Smith. However, KCP fits perfectly with what the Nuggets are trying to do. A catch-and-shoot three-point shooter who brings more defensively than Will Barton does on the other end. With Michael Porter Jr. coming back, with Jamal Murray coming back, you don't necessarily need Will Barton's creation skills quite as much. He's a real streaky player. He was a little bit overtaxed in Denver last year. So I think taking a little bit of a step back offensively is going to be good for the Nuggets to have a solid defensive wing in KCP, a guy they've been trying to get for quite some time. I'm also a big Bones believer, so I think Bones Highland slides in nicely to the first backup guard spot. And you got Ish Smith as maybe your third string point guard, a little bit of maybe a spot starter here and there if Murray needs to take a rest or something like that. So a good job for the Nuggets, getting a little bit cheaper, but at least getting players who fit what they want to do. And if you're the Wizards, you needed a point guard alongside Bradley Beal. We assume he's going to be signing a gigantic deal here. And Ish Smith was going to be the starter for them. I don't know if you necessarily think Monte Morris is a starting point guard. He's probably right there on the verge of being he's one of the better backups in the league, can be a solid starter as well, as we saw for Denver last year. So that's nice to get him. And Will Barton gives him a little juice as a scorer as well. So I think a good job from the Wizards to address one of their biggest needs, getting a point guard in Morris there. And the Nuggets, they did a good job saving some money. I don't love when the whole plan of things is to save money. When we just saw the Colorado Avalanche win a Stanley Cup with one of the deepest teams out there. Meanwhile, their owner for the Nuggets is trying to make their team a little bit cheaper. I don't know what I'm talking about. That's just Nathan McKinnon, I guess, is the Nikola Jokic when you really think about it. But a good salary dump for the Nuggets and a couple of good players come into the Washington Wizards.
Yeah, I agree with all you said there. I like this deal. It makes sense why both of these teams were doing this. These are 4 good players. We got everybody excited on Twitter yesterday too with Ish Smith, if he plays one game for the Denver Nuggets, setting the all-time NBA record for most franchises played with. It'll be 13. He has to play a game. This is the thing, he's got to suit up there for Denver. And if he plays one game, he's got the record all to himself there, Trey, which, people were excited about.
Yeah, people were excited about. I feel like the Nuggets have to keep him at this point. At least play him one game or ship him to a team he hasn't played for yet.
Yeah, has to. But yeah, all those reasons you said, the Nuggets, ducking the luxury tax, but getting good players back. Like KCP does make a lot of sense. Like some defensive capabilities on the perimeter. I like that. And he can shoot. I mean, he is a 3-and-D guy. He really has proven that over the last couple of years. And him with anyone gets paired with Jokic, they're suddenly like a different player because you're just getting more looks and you're getting better looks usually. And if you move, he'll find you. So that's fun too. And then the Monte Morris part. Yeah, he proved he could be a starting point guard, I think, in this league. And they need one in Washington. And he's on the cheap. I like it. I mean, I don't mind it. The guy, he doesn't hurt you. That's the thing. He never hurt you. He's like one of the greatest in the league in terms of assist to turnover ratio. So him with Beal and some of their other talent there. Okay, this is fine. This is just a great average B+, maybe B- trade from both sides to me. It's like not moving the needle, but it's fine. And the other thing from this is just a random note. I tweeted it out. Will Barton, the Nuggets franchise leader in 3-pointers made. I love that stat so much. I think that's so weird that he leads them, but he was there for a long time and obviously could score. He can hit the 3, but that won't be for long, I guess, now that he'll have that. I mean, hell, Jokic is like, I don't know, 5th or 6th on the all-time list for 3-pointers made.
I mean, I have to assume that Jamal Murray is fairly high on the list.
Yeah, I don't have it in front of me right now, but he's got to be there too. I would think it's going to be Murray's. Well, it'll be Murray's before it'll be Jokic's even. But yeah, there you go. Will Barton. At least he leaves that team as a franchise leader in 3-pointers made. Let's hear everybody's
Murray is third. Jamal Murray is third. He's going to pass him likely this season.
Oh, wow.
131 behind. So hang the banner now while you can.
Okay. So Murray will probably be the first one to 1,000 3-pointers made there in Denver when we get there in a couple of years.
Two of my favorite records in the NBA are the Nuggets 3-point record and, of course, the most teams ever played for.
Yeah, exactly. That's why this is a great trade. Yeah, this is exactly right. Let's hear from everybody about this one. Do you have more opinions on the Will Barton and Monte Morris go into the Wizards for KCP and Ish Smith and his 13th NBA team? Okay, we had some big names declining player options, Trey. The Athletics, Shams Charania, he broke news that Sixers guard James Harden is choosing not to take a $47.4 million player option for next season. He's instead going to re-sign with Philly in theory for a lower salary that allows them to add some other players. And then I'll just chuck this in as well. Bradley Beal, he declined or is going to decline his own player option for different reasons. So he's going to sign a 5-year contract with the Zards worth over $250 million. So Harden's probably the more surprising one of the two, but do you have any opinions on these star guards here opting out of very, very lucrative player options to sign some other deals?
Yeah, no surprise at all from Bradley Beal.
No.
He is turning down a lot of money for this 1 year and instead locking in more money for the next 5 years. So well done from there. I look forward to another 5 seasons of Bradley Beal trade rumors from here on out. Like literally every trade deadline is going to be, is this the time Bradley Beal asks out? Is this the time Bradley Beal asks out? We shall see how the pairing with Kristaps Porzingis goes heading into this season. But no surprise there. The Harden thing, a little bit of a surprise, but I think if you're a Sixers fan, you have to be super encouraged about James Harden declining his option, signing a short-term deal for a little bit less money, because it really feels like he's committing to the franchise and helping them try to win a championship. They're going to have a lot more flexibility going forward to add role players. There are still rumors about a Tobias Harris trade potentially. PJ Tucker seems to be coming in. They made the move for DeAnthony Melton. So they've got a little bit more flexibility. We know Daryl Morey has taken some swings around the margins. He hits on some of them. Some of them are just random pickups that don't end up playing out, but it feels like the Sixers are getting the squad back together, and it feels like Harden has a little bit of awareness here that maybe he's not quite the player he once was. Ergo, the Sixers need to be able to continue to add pieces alongside him. So I think the Sixers have to be very happy that they are, that they made their huge trade at the trade deadline. They're not losing out on Harden for nothing, and they're going to be able to add to their team going forward because they ran out of steam, no doubt, in the playoffs. A large part of it was Harden not having a great postseason, as we've seen before. But if he's going to be playing more as a playmaker than as an MVP level sort of player, which he is the number 2 guy on the Sixers, he should take a step back. He should make a little bit less money, and it frees things up for the Sixers to continue to add to their team. So this is nice for Philadelphia.
Yeah, I agree with all of that, especially if they can add a guy like PJ Tucker, a little toughness, that 3-and-D type guy that's has a lot of postseason runs in him. That'd be smooth. And if it's Harden helping out to make that a reality, that's big. That shows you, I think, the Morey Harden connection here, and that he is buying in, like you said, into Philly's like, let's go win a title under the umbrella of Joel Embiid. So we'll see what the number sort of they settle on here. And hey guys, don't worry. James Harden's still going to get paid a lot of money. It's not going to be $47 million, but it's going to be very, very high. Have we seen has it started yet? We haven't seen like a Harden in the club photo or video yet, right? Like that hasn't surfaced yet.
No, and in these reports, you're even getting news that Harden started his off-season training program earlier than he ever has before. So I think we're going to see Harden training videos before we see Harden club videos.
Okay.
Let us know in the comments what you think is more likely to come first.
That's we got to make that into a poll. I sort of agree with you because I was like, I haven't heard of that, seen anything about that. I know we're already getting photos of Luka looking ripped and thin in the face, and he's going to be committed this summer. Yeah, will Harden be the same? And can Harden have the Chris Paul bounce back from like the injury? This guy has been banged up. Can he have like a really full, healthy offseason to sort of rehabilitate there and come in and look like maybe a little bit more of the James Harden of old? We'll see. I mean, he's getting older, the thing, but yeah, will those club videos surface a little bit later? Is he going to be just shooting in the gym? I can't wait to find out.
Well, according to the stream team, we've already had reports of Harden running the stairs and hitting the hills, Skeets. It's Harden season. I'm in on the Sixers. Just when I think I'm out on James Harden, he pulls me back in. I can't quit this guy. I'm like Daryl Morey.
Yeah, you are. You are Daryl Morey. Oh my God. It's crazy. So yes, those two guys, for different reasons, looks like Harden sort of helping his team. Beal, I mean, look, get your money, man. But wow, is that instantly going to become like, he's a good player. I mean, we know that the guy can score 30 points a game. But holy crap, Bradley Beal at 50 million plus on a Zards team that's They made some moves here. If Porzingis is healthy, I don't know. There's a team I struggle to figure out. I'm like, I don't know where you put Washington in the Eastern Conference, mix of things. Like, you could convince me they're still one of the worst, then you could convince me, why are they any different than some of those teams we were mentioning? Why can't they be competing with the Bulls and the Raptors and the Hawks and stuff like that, right?
Oh, yeah. Beal, super talented. Led the league in scoring not too long ago. Kristaps Porzingis, really talented. The question for both of them, at least lately with Beal, is can they both stay on the court? Beal's missed a nice chunk of time the past 3 seasons. Part of that last year surely was the team not looking good and wanting to improve the pick. Nonetheless, he hasn't been there, and he needs to be there for the Wizards to make a run at the play-in tournament. I guess they probably have enough talent to be in the mix for the 9th or 10th seed, but it's all going to depend on if they're able to stay healthy. But it does feel like by the end of his contract, Bradley Beal is going to kind of become the next John Wall, which is pretty weird considering he played with John Wall.
Yeah.
But I mean, when you're making $50 million and you're like 34 years old, you're going to be shuffled around the league at some point.
Yeah. I mean, probably. Unfortunately, for Wizards fans, that's something you don't want to hear. I mean, we talk about teams like, don't be in the middle. Don't be on that treadmill of mediocrity. And that's where the Wizards flourish, man. That's exactly where we want to be. So we'll see. I mean, yeah, they got some talent. The one other part of the Monte Morris trade, or the Nuggets-Wizards trade, is Kuzma and Monte Morris knew each other in 2nd grade. And said they were going to play on the same NBA team, and now that's, for now at least, a reality with Monte Morris joining Kuzma. There was a little photo going around of them standing in their 2nd grade class there. I was like, wow, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that is pretty amazing. I said the same thing to my buddy Chad Humbers back in the day, but neither of us made it out. Neither of us ever made it to the league. Too bad. Would have been great on the Bulls.
Chad couldn't even make it on this podcast, man.
Yeah. He was more of a baseball guy as we got older. A catcher.
Yeah.
Right behind the plate.
Baseball grabs every kid at some point in their life for a couple of years. It got me. Baseball got me for a year or two, but don't worry. I was back to basketball. All right. I want to include this. This is not fun news. This is a shitty headline here, but this just broke, I think, this morning, maybe late last night. There are reports that Miles Bridges was arrested on felony domestic violence charges in LA on Wednesday. Now, according to TMZ, Bridges, he turned himself into the police following an alleged physical altercation with a woman on Tuesday, so the day prior. Reports say the woman needed medical attention, so hopefully she's okay. He was released, Bridges was, after posting $130,000 bail. And this was right on the heels, Trey, of Hornets general manager Mitch Kupchak saying on Tuesday, number one priority is re-signing Miles Bridges, our leading scorer. We love him. We want to bring him back. He's been great for our franchise. We believe in his work ethic, and he's only going to get better. And then this comes 24 hours after that. So we'll see what happens in the fallout from this. But fucking Jesus, what are you doing, Miles?
Yeah, absolute loser behavior. First and foremost, I hope the woman that he allegedly hospitalized is getting the treatment she needs, and that she's safe, and that, she's cared for going forward. And I honestly hope there's some sort of consequences for Miles Bridges, even if the consequences end up being he cost himself a whole bunch of money, because this is just complete nonsense. And we've seen time and time again that off-court issues can have absolutely no effect for a player going forward. Look at what's happening with Deshaun Watson in the NFL. I hope this is different. And for me, it's going to completely change the way I think about Miles Bridges going forward, just like it did with Lance Stevenson back in the day, just like it did with Derrick Rose back in the day. So dumbass shit from Miles Bridges. Yeah.
And in other news, as we wrap this up here, because we need to wrap up the podcast, because as soon as we do, something else will happen. That's just how it goes. I saw Woj tweet this morning that Kemba Walker and the Pistons are finalizing a contract buyout. So once he clears waivers, Kemba will be able to join another team in free agency. I don't know if there's a team off the top of your head where you see Kemba fitting in. I don't know how much you think Kemba's got left in the tank. What do you think?
I think he'll be a Laker. I don't know why. It just seems like there always happens to be a Lakers Photoshop for any player who's ever made an all-star team. I've already seen Kemba kicking around. They could probably use a backup point guard. Who knows what you're going to be able to get from Kemba Walker? It just did not work in New York last year. He didn't have the same athleticism. Maybe being back home and not performing the way he wanted to was a problem for him, mentally. So we'll see if a new location helps him. I would still be willing to take a chance on Kemba Walker for a cheap contract, for a veteran minimum, a make good deal. Yep. Who knows what he's going to be able to give you? Just like Victor Oladipo, if he has an entire summer to get his body right, to get ready to play once again, I'm sure he can still contribute somewhere, as long as you're not expecting him to be your starting point guard.
Yeah, so the official start to NBA free agency later today here on Thursday at 6 p.m. Eastern, though, from what I can remember, you start seeing those real juicy reports sometimes an hour or two before. Who knows how hard Silver's come down on these teams and saying, hey, cut that crap out. We'll
I thought
see.
It was pretty funny that Jalen Brunson has meetings scheduled for today with the Mavericks and the Heat. They're like, hey, we're not tampering. I'm taking meetings here.
Yeah. I think everybody just takes a meeting with the Heat because they're like, I'll go to Miami and hang out with Pat Riley, kick it with him.
I want to see if he really does drop the rings on the table.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's see what it's like.
Yeah, why wouldn't you go do that? And the other headlines I'm just reading here, we got Patty Mills opting out. He's probably going to still play for the Nets there, though. The Kings are not going to make an offer on DiVincenzo. That one a little eye-opening. Also, the Bucks' Bobby Portis is declining his $4.6 million option. His agent telling ESPN that. I know you want to bring. I want to bring Pirtle back to the Raptors. You want to bring Bobby back to the Bulls. Is that what I saw the tweet?
It didn't work out the first time with Bobby Portis, and he honestly jeopardized some Bulls draft picks when he punched Nikola Mirotic in the face, and then Mirotic came back, and for whatever reason, the Bulls caught fire and won a whole bunch of games in a row. Got the 7th pick. A disastrous end to the tenure for Bobby Portis, but he would be incredible in Chicago. They need size, they need shooting, they need defense, they need some intensity. Bobby brings all of that stuff, so yeah, I would love to see him back in Chicago. But the news I'm hoping for out of Chicago today is that Zach LaVine gets that big fat bag. Casey Johnson of NBC Sports Chicago is reporting he's likely to sign for 5 years, $215 million. I would be very happy to see him getting that full max.
And then the other big names we're going to be waiting on over these next couple of days. Everybody knows it by now. DeAndre Ayton. It is sounding like he is not going to play for the Suns, and that we're possibly going to be seeing some sort of sign and trade with Ayton. What are the Jazz doing with Rudy Gobert? In terms of trading him? What are the Pacers doing with their guys, Malcolm Brogdon, Miles Turner specifically? Brogdon, you thought Brogdon was a team that he could go to like the Wizards, who needed sort of a guard. Now I wonder if that changes after their deal, and are they content with Monte Morris as like sort of their leading point guard? And there isn't anything there happening with Brogdon. John Collins with the Hawks, we've talked about that. So hopefully we get some action here over the day here on Thursday, and then of course into Friday. We'll be back for sure on Friday morning with a No Dunks podcast. I know Lee's up in Toronto, I believe, right now, but he has plans to join us. I'm not sure about Tassie. He's doing a little bit of traveling as well, but we'll get as many guys as we can on here to hopefully break down some of these signings. I think today is not going to be insane, though. I think it's literally going to be like Jalen Brunson to the Knicks,
as expected.
And then a couple minor ones, like signing wise. I don't think we're gonna get another big trade here today or tonight. But I could be wrong. Hopefully I'm wrong.
I don't know. Apparently the Sixers are going to continue to be active, especially with Harden taking the option, taking a little bit, or declining the option, taking a little bit less money. Tobias Harris is apparently a guy who could be had if anybody's interested. Bible is on the market. I saw that John Hollinger said that you just have to ask nicely and you can get yourself a Furkan Korkmaz. It'll be that easy. But it feels like the cap space is starting to dry up pretty quickly. The Knicks created a whole bunch of room. That's going to go to Jalen Brunson. The Spurs are obviously not a team that's going to be signing anybody right now. The Pistons have done most of their moves, so they're out of DeAndre Ayton sweepstakes. So that's kind of a huge question to me, is like, where is DeAndre Ayton going to end up, and what kind of contract is he going to be offered, to the point where, like, is it going to be cheap enough that the Suns are just like, well, we might as well match it at that deal, because the places he was rumored to possibly be going, he ain't going there anymore. He's not going to be in San Antonio. It doesn't feel like. He's definitely not going to be in Detroit. He's running out of places to go at this point, Skeets.
Yep, we will see. Hit that like button. Subscribe to No Dunks on YouTube here. If you listen to the podcast, thank you. Leave your boys a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts. Leave your boys a 5-star rating on Spotify. No words can be shared on Spotify. Just hit that 5 stars. We appreciate it. Email in your NBA questions to nodunks@theathletic.com. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok at No Dunks Inc. And get yourself right now an Athletic subscription. Go to theathletic.com/no dunks. And let me say this one more time. Saturday, July 9th, Vegas, Starboard Tack. Okay, Starboard Tack is the place. We're going to do a little No Dunks meetup. Super casual. Let's say 7 o'clock. Sure. Sounds like a good time to walk into a bar, have a drink.
Sure.
Right? Yeah. So we'll
is that's Pacific time?
Oh, geez. Don't even get me started. I mean, I said Eastern
local.
last time. 7 o'clock local on Saturday, July 9th. Okay, so who knows if anything juicy happens later today. Maybe we'll jump back on. Otherwise, you can lock it in. You'll hear from the No Dunks boys tomorrow morning. Until then, Clipper Bros.
You heard it here first. Have a great time. Turn up. Love you guys. Awesome.
Thanks for joining us. And remember, chef is a sign of respect. So call everyone in your life chef. J.E. Chefs. Chef Kirby.
Thank you, Chef.
Chef Mellis. Chef Ellis. Chef Doyle. Cooking it up.
Oh, Chef Boyardee Doyle. Very nice. Race the day, people.
You could stay